The issue that comes up more often than not in our program, and I think one of the reasons that people choose us over other programs, is the issue of known versus anonymous donation. Most of the gay men in our program, and we're about 90+% gay men, choose known donation. And the reason has to do with my own personal situation, which has been that the woman who cared for us, we did surrogacy before there was egg donor surrogacy, where there were two separate women. There was no such thing. There was egg donation, there was gestational care, but nobody put them together yet. So we did traditional surrogacy, so one woman carried her own children and gave them up to us. So we went to visit one woman. But when my kids were 4 or 5, they just wanted to meet mommy, because that's what other kids in school were talking about. But when they got 7 and 8, they wanted to know about their genetic history. And they started hearing about that early in school. And they wanted to know who their dad was. And they also wanted to know who their biological mother was. And now at 12 and 13, they talk about, well, that trait isn't mine if this person gets sick. Or that trait isn't mine. And that's very important to them. And I say to people, you may not want a known donor. You may say, I don't want anything to do with her, I don't ever want to meet her. But one of the advantages of it is, first, what I call the kick the tires meeting. No matter how much you see on video, no matter how much you see in a piece of paper, is she really as pretty as she looks? Is she as articulate and smart as she sounds on paper or in the video? But the other thing that I think is more important is, you don't know your kids today. There are some kids out there for whom, I have a babysitter who was adopted, she couldn't care less about meeting her parents. But her brother has had huge issues his whole life about the fact that he never met his biological parents. And I know that there are kids out there on the internet now at 15 years of age, swabbing their cheeks, sending it into a DNA lab, and finding their donor siblings or even their donor. If that donor isn't aware that this could happen, she might slam the door in their face. But if she's aware that it could happen and you've had a conversation and it's in your control because the legal stuff is done, it's all your baby, whether you're a single person and done a single parent adoption or a couple and done a second parent adoption, it's your baby. There's no rights she has. But if you want to, and your kid wants to, this is someone they can meet. And this can do what it did for my kids. Because when we went out first to meet Susan, our greatest fear was if they liked her, she was in California, they'd miss her. If they didn't like her, it would be incredibly disappointing. Instead, they liked her enormously, and it just dispelled the mystery. We were their family. And it just took all that tension away. And I think enormously to this day, my friends are constantly asking me, how's it been for my kids being raised in a gay family? And the answer is, that part of their lives is just a non-issue. We picked the school carefully, but most of all, we were honest with them from the outset, and their biological mother was honest with them from the outset. She feels so good about what she did. I had a fight with her the last time I was with her about who got more out of the surrogacy, me because I have 2 kids, or she because she did the best thing she's ever done in her life. And I think that that kind of feeling is tremendously important to build in this process.